Carlo and Brendan here from Games, Brains, and Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial.com for short. And it is track by track time as we finally come to an album that's popped up in the last couple of months by accident in some of videos. And there was a conversation, I think, over Christmas 2022, where we're like, right, okay, we've got to remember to do this one because it keeps coming up. It is Metallica's And Justice for All. Not our first rodeo with Metallica on this series. I think it was Ride the Lightning. No, it was Master of Puppets. Of course, it was Master of Puppets. Yeah,
we spent about 8 minutes talking about Orion. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. might be a couple of minutes about certain tracks in this one as well. It's the fourth studio album by Metallica, a band that should need no introduction, but of course, the American heavy metal, thrash metal, whatever you want to call them, band. This was released on September 7th, 1988 by Elektra Records. And there are a bazillion facts about this album, some positive, some negative. The only one I'm going to throw out there is because he always deserves to shout out, it was the first Metallica album to feature bass player Jason Newsted, because of course Cliff Burton had passed away before this album was made. I don't normally would now do this part of the video where I'm like, okay, just give an overall thoughts and feelings on the band and album, but I'm not sure how necessary that is. It's not like we haven't talked about Metallica and this album in depth before. Safe to say that I know that I love it. I know you love it.
I do need.
Well then, let's get it going then. That's it. There it is. Let's get it going. Let's see what tracks, though. Actually, that's the difference. What tracks we consider the best of the best. Blackened is the opening. There's a very cool building guitar intro drops into a slightly chaotic blast of instrumentation. The immediate takeaway is the mix. In particular, how prominent the drums are. I think this settles down nicely when the vocals come in and the rhythm becomes more measured. Everything steps up a notch around it, and including the chorus, it's got a nice exclamation point to it. The tone shift is welcome as it breathes fresh life into the track and doesn't feel disconnected to the rest of the track makeup. There are many better tracks in this album than Blackened. There really are, right? I still think this is a banger, and I think it's a great introduction to the album.
Yeah, so do I. I love this song. I think it's fantastic. I love the fade up kind of in at the beginning. I remember like being like younger and having to like turning my speaker up because it sounded like the sound was down too low.
Right.
As it slowly got louder and louder, and then just suddenly kicked in, and you're like, oh shit, quick, turn it down.
Yeah.
You know, I like it a lot. I like the fact that I always kind of, I read things into things that aren't there to be read into, but like, you know, And Justice is quite a shift, obviously, from Master, the album that came before. And I kind of liked the fact that Blackened kind of had this extended, slow build-up intro, like you're gently transitioning me into like this new sound.
Yeah, like a bridge. Okay.
Yeah, it's like just slowly, bang, have that. But I like it. I think it's a great song. I think I've always liked the sound of this without having the kind of musical education to be able to pick out what instruments aren't right or wrong or anything. I like the dirty, sort of heavier, thick sound the album had. I feel like on this song, like on lots of the album, James, it's kind of a bit of menace and a bit more depth to the vocals. Even though the ages are wrong, I kind of always felt like it sounded like his voice had broken from Master to now. Do you know what I mean? But like, you know, it's a good intro. It's a good start and a good like kind of right. Here's what we do now. You know, I don't think it's massively complicated as a song once you get past that fade in.
Yep.
You know, it's got a decent chorus, nice and simple. It's quite miserable, like, and that's what I liked about it too. You know, this whole "nothing can save us" sort of like idea on it.
Yeah.
And also I think this song, just like many on this album, like ties back to the overall sort of like Lady Justice kind of being broken message that they were kind of like pushing across too. So as far as an intro to an album goes, like fantastic. I agree with you, there are better songs on the album too. You know, don't get me wrong, but I still think it's a great song.
You should have said this at the start, but I'll throw in now as you kind of dropped upon there. We're not going to be banging on about the bass. We know the problems. We know the issues. We know exactly what you know about it. Does it frustrate? Of course. Does it change? Could it have changed this album? We'll never know. That's the thing. We'll never know. This is And Justice for All as it is. And I love it for that. I'm not going to sit there and retrospectively turn around and go, well, if they've done this with a bait and all that, it is what it is. We can't change that. There are way better analysts out there that can break that down for you, I think, than us. We're just going to talk about the tracks as an overall package. The title track, And Justice for All. Unbelievable. That's it. The one word I want to start with, unbelievable. From the ever-developing melody at the start, where heavier sounds take over, to the stop-start announcement of something speedier. The first minute or so of this track is delightful. It's got some of the album's best riffs, and it feels almost progressive at times, especially the longer it goes on. Easily one of my favorite tracks lyrically too, which is not always something you can say about Metallica. Massive fan of the melodic drop that scales things back to the beginning briefly, and it has a good guitar solo too. This is, I don't want to say it's an overlooked track, because I think it gets more appreciation these days, or maybe it's just that we have talked about it such an extent of its brilliance that I've now convinced myself that everybody else thinks so too. But this is a special track in my eyes.
Yeah, I agree as well. I think this track is absolutely phenomenal. I agree that it's probably up there with some of the best music lyrically that Metallica have ever written.
Yeah.
It has all of the things that I love about Metallica in it. You know, the like kind of melodic back and forth at the beginning. You know, a nice little gentle kind of. It's not particularly gentle because even the melodies on this album sound quite somber. You know, but it's still nice melody and then like a sudden crunch of guitars. I think the drum beat is phenomenal. I love the way the song kind of flows, the whole structure of the song, and the way it transitions between different riffs and different points of the song. The chorus is good. James sounds intense and fired up, and it's got a really cool solo. And even the end, just like moments at the end, you know, as the song fades out, you suddenly have guitar, like squealing guitars, just gently echoing in the background. It's just like perfect little touches. I think it's, yeah, for me, like, it's a stunner, like one of the best songs Metallica have ever written.
Yeah.
Not just on this album.
Did it? I can't remember. We recorded that video a while back, and as of the time recording, it goes live tomorrow. Was it in our top 3 Metallica tracks? Favorite Metallica? I can't remember if it played in yours or mine. Big question we did. Favorite 3 Metallica tracks. Maybe it didn't.
No,
that's quite hard. Yeah, it might like be in my top 10, but maybe not my top 3. I can't remember. Damn it. Anyway, getting off topic there. Eye of the Beholder. What an unfortunate position this track is in. Sandwiched in between Justice and what follows it as well, which means it does have to do something truly special to stand out, which it doesn't. But that doesn't mean it doesn't have something to offer. I think it's got some hefty guitar punches and a memorable drum beat. It's a track that's probably a minute or so too long, but I still quite enjoy it.
Yeah. I don't think probably for the similar reasons, but I don't feel like it's one I played as much as some others on the album. But, you know, it's still a very good song. It's still got loads of cool moments, little fade ups, catchy beats. Nice guitars. I like the flow of the lyrics, the verse and the chorus. It's decent. It's got a very short solo, but it's still good. I just felt like it probably, again, written down almost exactly what you said, that, you know, it just gets hurt a little bit by the quality that surrounds it. Not hurt badly, because it is still a good song. I referenced it was kind of like the thing that should not be you know, in terms of, it's a really good song actually, but, you know, if I was playing this album back to back, I'd probably be like, skip to 1, like back in the day, you know?
Yeah, that's it. It's just skipping it. But if you do listen to it, you'll be like, yeah, it was a good song. And then, of course, it's the big one, the big hit, if you want, from this album. It's One. And, you know, we know this. I'm just going to be preaching to the choir here. It is one of the best tracks Metallica have ever written. There's just simply no arguing with that, in my opinion. It's got interesting inspiration, combines drama, melody, and metal brilliantly. I don't think there's anything bad to say about One. It's a showcase of a band completely inspired. You could just break it down to your favorite bits. The first 2 minutes of melody, the chorus, the heavy speed at the end. I mean, it's One. What more can I say? Darkness imprisoning me. All that I see, absolute horror. I cannot live, I cannot die. Trapped in myself, fighting my own insane.
Me too. Um, yeah, like everything you said, really. I think it's a wonderful song. It's deep, intense, meaningful. James's vocals are great. The smooth vocals in the verse get more gravelly as he gets more intense in the chorus. It's got loads of different transitions through different phases, like from melody, which is quite morose and somber again because it's for the context of the song, of course.
Yep.
Heavier section, which is a real treat. The solo is absolutely phenomenal and very, very long in a good way, and kind of moves through different passages too. And then even just like kind of closing out with that rhythmic instrumental section, which again, from a metalhead kind of perspective, is just like a great fucking ending to a song.
Yeah.
So it is yeah, it's a phenomenal track. It is true classic, isn't it? I think it's held in that regard, anyway, but and rightly so.
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear a sensible disagreement to the stature that one is given. And I just, someone that would actually properly be able to make you go, oh, that's a really good point. I don't think it would exist, but you never know. The Shortest Straw. This is a bit of a forgotten gem on the album. And one that sees Metallica take the thrashing a bit harder here. Yeah, like almost all the tracks in the album, it's got shifts and twists that make it just more than a blasé experience. The chorus is fire. I think like people forget how kind of like strong the chorus of The Shortest Straw is. I mean, in my head, like before hitting play, you play it in your own head, you can hear it, and all I'm hearing is and like that. And then I'm hearing, I'm like, God, I forgot so much about this because, again, like on a personal level, this is sandwiched in between one and a track that will come after that I really, really love. I just kind of forget about this one, but I really liked it.
Yeah, the same. I think it's great. I mean, that intro is just like impossible not to sort of tap along or headbang along to that basic. Well, I say basic, but that's what it sounds like to me. The thick sort of rhythm and groove they've got going on. Vocals are strong, loads of transitions again, but especially the way it moves from the verse to the chorus. I love the way they do that. They kind of do a little sort of shift in the tone to like move them from the verse into the chorus, which is great. Like you said, the chorus is really, really good. Yeah, like great solo. I think it's quite, I don't know, it's not, I wrote quirky, but I feel like that's not the right word. I don't know what the right word is. It's quite different, I think, actually. It does stand out a little bit from the crowd. It's got something else to it. So it's a really, really strong song. Very good.
Yeah, it is. The argument for The Shortest Straw. Okay, Harvester of Sorrow. So we had Straw on that one, Harvester this one. Mix it up, Metallica. I'm a big fan of this one. And a lot of that lies at the feet of the intro. That melody, that thumping riffing, having Hetfield's vocals rising in the background. I think it might be like the best introduction to a song on this entire album, even better than Justice, because of just how strong that intro is. When it does break into a more straightforward song, it's still exciting and interesting. Strong vocal performance overall, I think, and that shows as we move through the stages until we hit the chorus. I've always been a big fan of this track, and it still kind of hits me.
Yeah, everything you said, I agree with. Again, I think it's a phenomenal track. It's a lot of it's about that intro. The way they combine the melody with the crunchier elements. It's kind of a slow stomping sound to the start of it, and it's really, you have to be kind of patient with it. But the payoff you get when it all joins in and kicks in properly is just absolutely amazing. It's next level. Song structures, the way the songs are structured on this album in general, but like on this song, is just pleasing. Like it just flows like really, really well. They transition through different phases, but also they don't really like repeat like constantly. The riff will change a little bit, like something will change a little bit, sudden extra beat to the drums or something like that. So it always feels like like you're not like you're listening to a composed song that is just repeating a structure or anything. It almost feels like it's moving through phases, and then the choruses are the things that just tie it back together again. The chorus in this is like really, really basic, but still sounds fucking great. So yeah, and again, in terms of lyrical content, it's a really well written song as well.
Metallica, man. I mean, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and Justice for All. What a fucking run. Okay, The Frayed Ends of Sanity. Oh man, it had been ages since I heard this song, and I haven't said much negative in this track by track, but I'm going to say it now. I've always hated the Wizard of Oz thing intro this track has, and when it kicked in again, and I was like, no, I still find that incredibly jarring. However, this is still a bit of a banger, with some crunchy riffs and head-smashing drums. What it lacks for me is a killer hook. What it is overall is a skip track for the most part. I'd probably, yeah, it's probably up there with my most skip track on this album.
Yeah, I get what you're saying about the intro. It never used to annoy me, but I used to find it funny. But then I guess that probably the overall theme of this album isn't humor. So, you know, the fact that I was like, Wizard of Oz,
Yeah.
probably wasn't what I was meant to get from it. I think it was meant to be doing something more around sanity, you know, but there you go. It has got a lot of cool moments in it, though. If you can get past that, you know, there are good riffs, great solo, excuse me, loads more of those transitions, vocals are fine. Everything's okay with it. It's just not as good as a lot of the songs on the other songs on the album. That's all. Still a decent track on its own, don't get me wrong, but it's just not. There's a bar been set by almost every other song on the album. That's the problem with it.
Yeah, I think you'd be a fool to even call this one a bad track. And that brings us to the penultimate offering, To Live Is to Die. We've waxed lyrical about Metallica being kings of instrumentals. And we often then point out this track. Normally we go like, oh yeah, Orion or whatever. And then we'll go, oh yeah, and don't forget about To Live Is to Die on Justice. Now we're going to actually talk about it. This is a fantastic track. This is poetry, both figuratively and literally, even if on the latter it doesn't initially seem to be the case. The chunky and rough instrumentation dominating for a while before cleaner and sharper guitar riffs start to cut through. It's a measured track that constantly evolves and is in no way predictable. There's a little bit debatable whether it's instrumental, because of course there are words in this, but it's not sung, it's not lyrics like that. That's the poetry aspect. Oh yeah, I love it.
Little prayer, isn't it? That's it.
Yeah,
I
love it.
It's an instrumental as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, same.
And it is, like you said, it's absolutely phenomenal. It had, although Orion is the best instrumental that Metallica have ever written, if one ever was to challenge it, if I've ever had a weak moment and felt like maybe I need to be cooler and not just pick Orion, like this would be the one. Like, do you know what I mean? It's the closest to it. Always felt like as well. This was kind of special because it wasn't the last brilliant instrumental Metallica did, but it was the last of this streak. Because then the Black Album came next with no instrumentals. So four albums in a row, wasn't it? So we had Anesthesia, Pulling Teeth, we had Call of Cthulhu, we had Orion, we had To Live Is to Die. And then for whatever reason, they decided not to fucking bother with the next album.
It wasn't cool. They were marketing towards the kids in the Black Album. Yeah. It wasn't cool anymore. But they'd bring it back, because if you really want to be, you know, contrarian and dispute, you know, argue with the, you don't go for any of these. You go for Suicide and Redemption. Way there for Death Magnetic.
Another fucking brilliant instrumental.
It is.
But you got to go through load, reload, everyone like that, all without them until you get to it.
Does Saint Anger have one? I can't remember.
We couldn't hear it over Lars's drums.
Oh, that's a track by track for this at some point this year, isn't it? Saint Anger has to be.
Might have grown on us, you never know.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, this song is just phenomenal. Everything about it. It's got everything that I love about Orion. That's the thing, but just with the Justice for All tone. It's got all the wonderful transitions. It's got the slows down to melody. I really like the little poetry / prayer thing. It's short, brief, feels heartfelt. It's really in the background as well, which I thought was cool, because if it had suddenly become like James' vocals level, like I think that would have been odd. So it's almost like you actually kind of have to strain a little bit to clearly hear that it's there. You know, at the beginning when he starts first doing it, like When a Man Lies, it's not 100% clear that you're kind of like, oh, someone just speak, you know. But it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. And like I said at the beginning and wrote in here as well, if it wasn't for Orion, this would be the best instrumental I've ever heard.
Yeah, I'd always take this one over Call of Cthulhu. Same as you in that regard. And, you know, like all other Metallica albums, the instrumental is never the finale. There's always one to come after it. And Dyer's Eve has the unlucky job of ending this. And unfortunately for me, it's probably the most forgettable track in the album. It's in a really difficult position. It's got to close out this banger. And I'll say Metallica haven't always written the best like finales to that album. But that being said, I like that it's thrashy and fast. I guess that's kind of nice that they kind of end in speed and noise, but I don't get particularly excited about this. It's a fine, okay ending to what is mostly a phenomenal album.
Yeah, I mean, I do like this song, but again, it never has got the same playtime as many others on this album. I think it's got some really good stuff going on. It's fast, it's heavy, it's got plenty of intense vocals, punchy riffs and drums. The tempo change at the chorus is really, really cool. It's lyrically strong again, and it even has a very rare but genuine Metallica swear word in it. I think there's something about fucking lullabies.
Rare.
You don't hear many Metallica swear words, do you? Not especially not like even if you think like across all of the original sort of 3-4 albums, I struggle to pick out more than a couple, I think. But you know, look, it's got a lot of cool stuff. It's the ending song. So I guess if I was looking for a negative, you know, it's weird, like you said, with Metallica, this tends to be the pattern that they do. You know, it's almost like we want to end with a bang. The problem is that their instrumentals are so strong that I probably don't want to get out of that mode yet.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? I'm quite happy in that mode. And also, you know, like I imagine the first time I listened to The Live Is to Die and the first time I listened to Orion, did I genuinely move straight on, or did I go back and listen to it again and again and again? So look, I think it's got moments. It's all that, you know. So it's kind of probably on a par with The Frayed Ends of Sanity in that there's a bar and these two sit kind of holding on to the bar but below it rather than on the par with the other songs around it.
Which is completely fair. It really is. It's Injustice for All. I think it's widely considered to be a fantastic album overall. And I suspect we're probably going to completely match up here as well in regards to the top 3 tracks. So the 3 for me are Injustice for All, One, and To Live Is to Die.
And we do exact same 3.
Yeah, it pains me. It pains me to leave out Harvester of Sorrow and that, but what are you gonna do?
It's that whole debate thing, isn't it? Like I sat in exactly the same one as well. I mixed between One and Harvester of Sorrow because of I've heard One a lot, but then I kept like kind of realizing that doesn't make it Harvester of Sorrow now a better song than One. You know, it is still one of the best songs on the album.
But also, like a track like One, while overplayed on a personal level, when I did this, I didn't skip it. No. I ended up listening to it all the way through again and still enjoying it. And like that was a kind of a big shock to me. It was like, oh, I expected.
Yeah, special, isn't it? It's the same as like live, isn't it? Like next time wherever you see Metallica, despite having seen One live, every time I've seen Metallica, I'd be gutted if they didn't play One.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. That is Metallica's And Justice for All. You got any thoughts? Do you agree with us that it's pretty much wall-to-wall bangers? In particular, do you agree with our thoughts? I'd be really interested to see people's opinions on And Justice for All, the title track, and To Live Is to Die. We know you're going to agree with us on one. It's those two. How you feel? Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please help us out by giving us a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. If you really liked what you saw, consider donating to keep the website and channel running by buying us a coffee via our coffee page or picking up some merch from our Big Cartel store. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as via our social media, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, as well as listen to our interviews via SoundCloud, Apple Music and Spotify. Just search for GBHBL. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?